Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Stravens, bringing you guys another commentary over a gameplay out here. But this commentary is not going to be about the gameplay at all. I'm actually not going to be talking about Call of Duty at all. Instead, I'm going to be talking about the current election cycle. And don't worry, I'm not out here to advocate whether you should vote for Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump or Ted Cruz or any of these big politicians who are running. Instead, I'm just going to talk about something which has been on my mind lately. Now, for me personally, I came here in 2002 from a third world country. Now, the country which I came from, to be honest with you, was pretty corrupt. There was a lot of corruption in that country because, pretty much politics had a lot to do about it with people being bribed and, effectively politicians could do whatever they want. And honestly, the politicians who were running the country had massive amounts of money and massive amounts of corporate money backing them. Now, for me, when I came here, I thought things in America were done differently, and I said, you know what, hey, when I come here, the playing field is going to be a lot level, and you know what, I don't need to worry about all that bullshit that I face back at home in a third world country. Well, boy, how wrong I was. Now, when I got here, I noticed that in India or like whatever those third world countries were, there's a lot of corruption. But there is corruption here too, except for there's a little catch. That corruption is legalized. It's called lobbying. Now, when you think about lobbying and how it's pretty much, warped itself up and, obviously morphed into something a little bit more dangerous in these days. Like, I'll give you an example. In 2010, in January, there was this act called the Citizens United, pretty much a ruling from the Supreme Court, which said effectively that, you know what, even though there's a limit to how you and me can spend on a political donation. For example, think about it this way. So if you give a particular, a political candidate a lot of money, that means you can pretty much control that candidate, and you can have a huge influence on what he does because he owes you his seat. Because all that money which you pour into this candidate, he can pretty much, run his whole campaign by it. He can pay a lot of his staff, and he can run a lot of ads, he can reach a lot more people. So you got to understand that when you have a lot of money in politics, you can effectively influence the decisions of certain candidates because they definitely owe a lot to you. Now, what this Supreme Court ruling did, the Citizens United ruling, is essentially said that, listen, there's going to be a limit in how much money you can give one particular politician, but there's this thing called super PACs. Essentially, what these super PACs are is these huge packs of pretty much shadow organizations, or a shadow, like it's like a small little like a company in itself, and it's massive, and it's just people who give unlimited amounts of money to it, particularly corporations, and they effectively buy out candidates. So pretty much, the people who are, not rich and they don't have that kind of money are pretty much screwed out of most decisions. For example, if there's a decision where they say, hey, you know what, we're going to lower taxes for the middle class, and then increase taxes for the corporations which make a lot of money or have a lot of offshore accounts, and they're pretty much hiding all that money there, and not being taxed on it. So for you and me, that might seem logical to bring that money back here and tax those mega corporations who make billions and billions of dollars of profit, and then give people who make maybe less than $50,000 a year a bigger tax break. Well, that to me, that sounds logical. But guess what? A politician can pretty much effectively, buy out, get bought out by a corporation, and they can vote against that measure. So I think for us to remove money out of politics, first of all, we need to know who exactly is spending the money, because there's a lot of shadow organizations which create all these third party, straw man almost cops and like hide behind them and then donate to a lot of the candidates, and that allows them to hide behind all these shadow corporations. Secondly, what everyone should do is you should have some common sense. There should be more regulators like the SEC, the IRS, and there should be they should play a role in enforcing that money is not laundered from one place to the other. Third, everyone needs to be accountable. Honestly, if a politician breaks the rules and they somehow illegally fund their campaign, there need to be consequences. They might have to be kicked out of a campaign or fined a massive amount of money. Now, here's the other thing which I think, the fourth thing, which is quite important: everyone should be heard. So as long as Citizens United is around and allows just the wealthy to pretty much buy out these politicians and pretty much do whatever the heck they want, and pretty much block every bill which gives people who are middle class and really need money and really need a break, really need to increase the infrastructure of this country, get us more jobs. As long as Citizens United is out there and pretty much has these huge mega corporations buy out politicians so that they don't give the middle class more rights, don't give the middle class the ability to earn more money, and by giving them tax breaks or making it more reasonable in terms of not just job growth but income growth. But because keep in mind, wages have remained stagnant in this country for a very, very long time, and it's because politicians have effectively been bought out by corporations, and they are legally somehow keeping and suppressing wages. So this needs to change, guys. And finally, this is the one thing which has stunned me at the US election process. Even though there's about 330 million people in this country, a very, very small portion of us vote, and that needs to change. A lot more people need to vote. And there's a lot of people, you see it on Facebook, on YouTube, people make all these big things and all these social media campaigns like yeah this and yeah go team, let's get kick these rich corporations out, but then hell they go back into their little corner and their little hole and they don't do anything about it. So you really, really need to go out there and vote and exercise your right to vote, guys. And honestly, then and only then these big corporations, these mega corporations can be beaten and they can't buy these elections. Well, this has been on my mind for a while. I'm sorry if this was a little too political of a commentary, but you know what? This is something I really wanted to talk about for a while, guys. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, I understand, but I had to get this out. Take it easy, guys. Ciao.